Hi everyone, I'm José Eduardo Bernardes and this is what's happening in Brazil. We start by updating you on the latest news from the country. Illegal miners are once again exploiting gold in the Yanomami indigenous land in the state of Roraima, Brazil's north region. 15 accusations have already been made since August this year, informing the resumption of illegal activities in the region. According to local leaders, the armed forces reduced their staff in the region in September, which made it easier to illegal miners to restart the activities there. Almost a year ago, the government of Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva expelled miners from the Yanomami land and started to monitor the region. This week, a 10-year wait ended with a happy ending. The state of Ceará, in the northeast of the country, received more than 2 tons of fossils that had been extracted from the region and illegally taken to France. The material arrived in Fortaleza, Ceará's capital city, and was then transported to its final destination, where it was welcomed by the team of Cariri Region Paleontology Museum. That was considered the biggest cultural repatriation of Brazil's history. Last week, Brazil suffered once again with an intense heat wave that affected at least 15 states of the country, mainly in the south, southeast and midwest regions. Temperatures surpassed 40 degrees Celsius in main cities and raised the orange alert of danger. This is the 9th heat wave of this year, caused by the so-called Super El Niño. The phenomenon will probably continue to cause high temperatures in the next months. This week, the Senate approved the nomination of Brazil's Minister of Justice, Flávio Dino, to a seat in the Supreme Court. With 47 votes in favor and 31 against, Dino became President Lula's second nominee to the Supreme Court in this first year of term. Dino became one of the most relevant voices against Bolsonarism and a key figure in the fight in the January 8 coup attempt. The approval is considered a victory for Lula, who had to make a series of concessions to the so-called Centrão, a coalition of conservative congresspeople. The federal government launched the Visible Streets Plan, which will invest about 200 million reais or $40.5 million in the next years. Some of the beneficiaries of the measures announced visited the Planalto Palace and talked about the difficulties they face, the angst they feel, and their hopes for the future.
Usually ignored and mistreated in Brasilia, dozens of people that live on the streets were at the Planalto Palace on December 11th. They attended the launching ceremony of the Visible Streets Plan. Announced by the federal government, the program is a set of public policies aimed at the street population. It will invest almost 1 billion reais in the coming years.
Vai chegar por diversas formas, entre elas, por
It will be implemented in many ways. Among them, for instance, is the Citizen Housing Program, inspired by the Housing First methodology. So people will have access to housing. The so-called pop centers, which assist these people, and the street clinics will be expanded. Therefore, a set of public policies will be implemented. And a very important thing, the program My House, My Life will prioritize people living on the streets.
Let's end the idea that street people live there because they want to. The question is why? What caused that person to be in that condition? The reason people end up on the streets is the inefficiency or absence of public policies. The only public policy that reaches the street population is the institutional policy, which in no way take these people out of this condition.
Over half of the initial resources will go to social aid and food security, expanding actions already in place, such as the Solidarity Kitchens. Health will also be a priority. It is expected that 5,000 professionals from all over the country will be trained to support the street population. The institutional violence by state agents will be faced with the training of these professionals besides justice and national drug policy professionals. The creation of a reporting channel on DIL 100 is also planned.
We need this action to be a permanent one because street people continue to suffer from the violence of metropolitan civil guards. Their documents are ripped in pieces by guards and it's hard to take a copy. There is the violence of invisibility, but there is also the violence of those who see people on the streets as a threat and beat them.
Pessoas assim como o padre conseguem nos auxiliar.
People like Father Júlio Lancelot managed to help us to be seen. He managed to make other leaders see us, because society only sees us during specific periods of the year, such as Easter and celebration days, when they went to charitable work to alleviate their sins. But we aren't there to redeem anyone's sins. We want to live a good life, have a house, access to medical care, education, and raise our children, form a family, besides having a job.
The federal government's initiatives go in the opposite direction to measures such as forced hospitalization and expulsion of the street population from city centers. Despite being ineffective, these authoritarian policies have been the bet of metropolises like Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo to deal with a problem that has worsened in Brazil. In the last decade, the street population increased 10 times more in Brazil, according to a survey by the Institute of Applied Economic Research. From 21,000 people on the streets in 2013, the figure jumped to 227,000 people in August 2023.
In the next 3 years, we will consolidate this social inclusion policy, which is the best thing we can do for this country. If people sleep under a bridge, so that they do it because they want, but let no one sleep under a bridge because they don't have a place where to shelter.
Being exhibited all around the country, Mussum, o filmis, tells the story of one of Brazil's best comedians, a member of the group known as Os Trapalhões, but he made many other things too. A singer, composer and multi-instrumentalist, Mussum was one of the stars of the Samba group Originais do Samba. He played with Elza Soares, Jorge Ben, Baden Powell and others. In today's interview we talk with actor Aílton Graça, who portrays the comedian in the movie.
Mussum! Você é palhaço! E os palhaços brasileiros sempre...
Brazilian clowns have always fascinated me, particularly the story of Brazil's first clown, Benjamin de Oliveira, who was a black clown. The first Brazilian clown was a black man. And talking about clowns, of people who work with comedy, I also relate to Grande Otelo, and the biggest name after him, Mussum. I always had a strong link with Os Trapalhões. It couldn't be different. At 7 p.m. on Sunday night, everybody watched Os Trapalhões. I was one of those people who hurried up to watch that comedy show. It was amazing to see how they created, how Renato Aragão led the team, the troupe of 4 clowns that created something that fulfilled our hours with gags that resulted in easy laughs. So I've always been very passionate about the quartet. The story of Os Trapalhões, the story of the Brazilian Fool with Grande Otelo and Mussum supported that for a long time.
Com todo respeito, senhor. Negão é o seu Passades! Eu não acho, eu tenho certeza.
I'm sure it happened due to racism, just like happened with so many good people who helped to build our nation. Somehow, black people are erased from history. Structural racism makes us invisible and does not legitimize these names who are building and collaborating a lot in the making this nation. However, it is kind of racism whose origin lies in many other issues that demand study. We need to pass a law that obliges Afro-Brazilian teaching in school so that they share these stories and so that it becomes part of the students' curricular training, the history of black people who build the world.
E por acaso eu sou liso? e o meu nome é Antônio Carlos. Dentro dessa estrutura racista,
Within this racist structure, Mussum is a hero for all of us, black men and women and people who identify as pardas. For 25 years, he was on our TV screens. During the dictatorship, he was there talking to people in their homes and making comedy, helping them to become used to scene. For years and in 40 movies, a black man making comedy.
ninguém pode roubar os seus sonhos. Eu acho que tudo que ele não conquistou.
I think that everything he hasn't achieved in life, he will achieve with this movie because he didn't stop. Essentially, he's in the movie. And I think this movie is about the number of people who are going to the movie theater. They are preparing to go to the movie theater to celebrate this icon of comedy that is Mussum. And how will they celebrate? Going together with their families. Teenagers who don't know who os Trapalhões were, who don't know who Mussum is, will recognize Mussum and will be introduced to Mussum through the eyes of his grandmother, uncle, or father. So they're going as a family, as a troupe, just like os Trapalhões. They're going as a troupe. I think this will be something never seen before. Mussum is back.
Did you like the show? So hit the like button and share with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive notifications. We'll see you next week.